Hey everybody, this is Steven from PopCultureMaven.com. We're back with this week's new comic book reviews. Yeah, we're a little bit late, but we're getting them done this week at least. It's still been crazy at work, and my other co-worker at night, she's still out. Hopefully she'll be back next week, so that should ease the 9 to 5 or work fiesta going. I'm not complaining. We've been super busy at work, which is a good thing because we've been very, very quiet. I work in post-production and it's been pretty quiet. A lot of things going on in Hollywood right now with the entertainment business. It's been kind of slow. So having it be busy is a good thing. Especially good for me having a job. But anyways, so from the advice from John, I've been trying to put books up. And so last Saturday was Batman Day at your local comic shop. There were a couple or three freebies, and then there were some trades and special books that came out. So I thought, okay, that was last week, but who doesn't want to celebrate Batman? So I put some Batman books. We have Batman, the animated series, the second volume of the omnibus that collects the second series. Then we have the two Long Halloweens. We have Batman Marshall Rogers, which is pretty much collects the Stephen Gohart Marshall Rogers run. Batman the Outsider is one of my favorite books by Mike Barr and Jim Aparo. For me, one of the best Batman artists ever. And then, of course, The Killing Joke by Alan Moore and Brian Boland. And so I thought, hey, we could have Batman all the time. Who doesn't love Batman? And so we've got this week's new books, and then there's some catch-ups after that. So we're trying to catch up with a couple weeks. So to get us in the mood for Batman, here we go. First up, Batman: The Long Halloween, The Last Halloween, #1, written by Jeff Loeb, with artwork by Eduardo Risso. Now, this is the final thing, and of course, sadly, Tim Sale passed away before it could be done. He did do there was a Long Halloween special that came out before he passed away, and that was reprinted. So if you're looking to catch up, because this story comes from that. I think you don't necessarily have to read it, but it does help. DC did reprint it as a 0 issue before this one came out this week. So you can look for the 0 that is a reprint of that special. So basically what it is there's the holiday killer seems to be a copycat. Somebody has kidnapped James Gordon's son. And, and then, of course, there's Two-Face and his wife who's gone underground. And things happen with Two-Face and his wife. I don't want to give really much away. Each issue of this is going to be drawn by different artists that was they were big fans of Tim Sale's. And the really nice thing is they actually they kind of talk about how it is to kind of follow in his footsteps. With their art, because it's still very, this is very much Rizzo style, but it definitely kind of fits into that, Long Halloween, story that's gone on many years. I really like this, and once again, this is the big finale. It's very bittersweet. It would have been nice to have Tim to be able to finish it, but considering the talent that they've got to do this book is quite amazing. It's really spectacular, and they've lined up a really all-star cast of artists to finish off this story. The nice thing is that there was some Batman, like the cover for this is unused Tim Sale artwork. So they are the main covers are going to be by Tim, and then each artist is going to have a variant cover, and then there's a variant cover there's a third variant by Jim Lee on this issue. So there's different variations of artists that are going to do the cover. So Long Halloween is very seminal work, and like I said, it's sad that Tim is not able to finish it, but having so many great friends in the industry to help Jeff finish the story is really makes it worthwhile. So it's well worth picking up this week. Next up, we have The Missionary #1, written by Ryan Stigman, with artwork by Jason Howard. So the basic story here is Bryce Hunter, kind of down on his luck. He's lost his job. and he just, he goes to the church and he discovers that his wife catches his wife pleasuring the priest. So he discovers this, and so he's really distraught. And then what happens is he gets possessed by this demon, Udius, who the irony is, most people that get possessed by demons, they do bad things, but Udius wants to actually kind of he wants to become a better demon. He kind of wants to fix his mistakes. And so that's kind of the basic premise there, that they're kind of somewhat working together, like Bryce is kind of a wussy and Eustace is obviously a demon, but they're kind of working as a team. I think the story was okay. It wasn't it didn't blow my mind or anything like that. I think it was decent. I think there's an idea there. I think it was just kind of like okay. I did really like Jason Howard's artwork is really, really nice. It's a good looking book. I think there's a good concept there. I don't know that the first issue really bowled me over. I think there's a good premise there. We'll just kind of have to see this second issue. Like, I think it was good. The question is it really going to catch after that? I think, like I said, I think it's got good ideas, but where it kind of goes from there, we'll kind of see. So, I think it's kind of worth looking at, but I wouldn't, not really a big, strong recommendation. Next up, we have Universal Monsters, Frankenstein, #2, written and drawn by Michael Walsh. So what this is kind of a retelling of the Frankenstein, the classic Frankenstein Universal movie. But what's interesting in the first issue is that there's one of the graves that was dug up. This boy was at the gravesite, so he followed Dr. Frankenstein and Fritz back to the castle, and he's kind of discovered what's going on. So you're kind of like looking. So what Walsh is doing here, you're looking at the universal story from the boy's point of view, but you're also kind of filling in little bits and pieces of like between the scenes, like with Fritz discovering the boy and kind of Fritz, more of expanding the original story, but also kind of telling it from a different angle with the boy. So we also discuss, in this issue, Fritz, he messes up. He gets the wrong brain because he destroys the other one. So that's kind of how, we discover that Frankenstein is kind of a monster, is because he's kind of got the stupid brain. And then we also, the boy escapes and kind of, because Elizabeth's sent away, so the boy is with Elizabeth. So that'll be interesting coming up to, we'll kind of see a little bit more of the story, other stories that kind of surround the main story. I really like what Walsh is doing here, and I'm a really big fan of his artwork. He's really known a lot for the Silver Coin miniseries, which is really, really fantastic. I really like, this is, the Universal Monster books so far from Skybound have been really good, but I'm really digging this, what Walsh is doing here with Frankenstein. So well worth checking out. Definitely pick this up. Next up, we have the Manchurian #1, written by Pornsak Pichot, with pencils by Terry Dodson and inks by Rachel Dodson. So what this is Pichot, Pornsak Pichot. Oh, that's a mouthful. Apologies. And so what he's done is, this is the first of what is the Horizon Experiment books. These are all one-shots of possible series that are coming out. So this first one, the Manchurian, is basically kind of a Chinese James Bond. And instead of like, trying to get into the government, what the Chinese do is they send lots of people over to kind of blend in, and their espionage is stealing secrets from corporates. Corporate structures try and steal those secrets so they can make China better, and more technologically advanced. So that's really what it is. So Calvin Lowe is this kind of centers on him, how he infiltrates, he finds people that works at corporations and kind of gets knowledge from them with implants of other Chinese, spies. And, like I said, it's kind of a Chinese James Bond. But I think I like the concept here. There was kind of a lot. My only problem was that there was a lot to take in. I think because this is a one shot, it's kind of like a very big elevator pitch. That's kind of, for me, the best way to put it. There's a lot to take in. It's a very dense story. He covers a lot of ground, and, once again, this may or may not become a series. It kind of, all of these depend on the sales of the books. So once again, I think the concept's really good. I just think that this issue is really dense. But, you do have the Dodson artwork, which is really, really good. It's a nice looking book. He's really perfect for this, kind of James Bond, suave, debonair, look. I just think I like the concept. And if it goes to a series, I think, maybe a less dense, say second issue, if it happens, would, I think, really benefit the book. Like I said, I did like it. It's a lot to take in. There's a lot in, I would say this is the most compact first issue I've almost ever read. So I think I like the concept of the Horizon, where, it's kind of like, test to see whether these books can actually, do well. So we'll kind of see if any of these books, but like I said, we'll kind of see what the next ones, because there is previews of all the other books that are coming out after the the main stories. So it's kind of nice to see, oh, here's some, like, here's a preview of like this book and that book. So I like the concept. So hopefully we'll kind of see if some of these can actually sell enough to kind of stick. Next up, we have Standstill #2. Written by Lee Lowridge with artwork by Andrew Robinson. So what it is Riker has stolen the Time Stopper wristwatch, and so he goes to Pakistan to to basically kill like hired killers. And so there's that going on. But then Kate and Colin, who actually had created the Time Stopper, know that it is, it's been stolen, and they're going to try to find it, to find out, who's taken it. But to do that, they need to hopefully create another time stopper. And so they don't, once again, it was kind of using parts that just can't go to out to like Amazon and buy, So there's kind of that subplot going on at the same time. I really liked the first issue, and I think Low Ridge and Robinson really built nicely on the first issue. I really like Robinson's artwork. The one thing, they were at the Pulp Fiction Comics a couple weeks ago. Lee did say that when they print it, it's going to be a hardcover, and they're actually going to do it. They're going to do it like sideways. So it'll kind of work with the artwork. So because when you read it, it's kind of like a widescreen comic in a way. So that's really cool. Like I said, I really like the concept here, and how like the time jumps and everything are really, really neat in the script. And Robinson really just brings them to life. It's really a solid book. I'm really digging it. Definitely check it out. Next up, we have Lobo Cancellation Special One Shot, written by Kyle Starks with artwork by Kyle Hotz. The Kyles are doing this book. So what this story is, there's a little thing. This takes place between Omega Man 3 back in the day, and then Superman 14 this year. So this story, so what it is Lobo ends up crashing on this planet that has no technology. So he's stuck there for like years and years. Everybody thinks he's dead. And then all of a sudden this spaceship appears and wants to hire him, because the king's daughter, the princess, has been kidnapped by Slaughterface. And so they hire Lobo to go rescue the princess. So that's the basic premise. Chaos ensues. There's a lot of blood. There's a lot of chaos. It's Lobo being Lobo. I really have to say that Kyle Starks really gets what Lobo is, especially after we had that kind of like New 52 sparkly Lobo. We don't talk about that Lobo. That is not Lobo. He brings back the main man, and Kyle Hotz is absolutely one of the most perfect artists for this book. He definitely is inspired by Simon Bisley, who really brought Lobo to life after, the Omega Men, when they started doing the miniseries. And Hott's artwork is just simply fantastic here. Like I said, Kyle Starks wrote a great story, and Hotz really took it to town with the artwork. If you're a Lobo fan, this is good stuff. This is the main man. He is back. Definitely pick up this book this week. It was a lot of fun. Next up, we have Action Comics number 1069, with the main story written by Gail Simone, with pencils by Eddie Barrow, and inks by Danny Meeke and Jonas Trindale. And then the backup, Lois and Clark in Love at Work, Part 3, written by Rainbow Rao, with artwork by Cyan Tormey. So the main story is, it's the final part of Superman has to win the gladiator battle to save Earth and the universe, basically. And, there's really, I don't want to give away the story, but it really, Simone really, this is a great love letter to Neil Adams and Denny O'Neil's Superman versus Muhammad Ali. And you can definitely tell it in the story. And it really, kind of shows like the humanity of Clark. And that's what I loved about what she did with the story. And then Burroughs' artwork is absolutely fantastic. It's really, really just a gorgeous story. This is the third part. It's just a 3-part story because next month Action Comics is going weekly. So this is kind of a fill-in to bridge the gap between the main, what was going on, and this was just a, kind of a stopgap of three issues. And then the backup by Rainbow Rao and Cyan Tormey was really, really great, because it really is how Lois and Clark actually work together, because obviously she knows he's Superman. He is Superman, and it's hard for her to be the editor-in-chief, now that Perry's running for mayor, to kind of run the Daily Planet. So it's kind of, they're trying to find their footing with the both of them, and the story's really good, and Tormey's art is really, really nice. I really enjoyed this 3-part story, both the main and the backup. They all did a wonderful job on it. It was well worth buying. Next up, we have Uncanny X-Men number 2 and Uncanny X-Men number 3. So we're doing a twofer here because we're starting to catch up. And ironically, so both of them are written by Gail Simone with artwork by David Marquez. So the second issue goes into the past, where Xavier first meets Sarah, who is now, taken over the mansion and turned it into a prison. And then with Jubilee, so there's Jubilee, Wolverine, and Gambit. There's these new kids that kind of attack them, and then Jubilee comes in and kind of breaks it up, and she tells them, hey, we need to help the kids, we need to stop fighting between us. And so we also discover that, the kids say, hey, we're being hunted. So that kind of leads into the third issue, where the kids, so now Rogue is training the kids. Nightcrawler comes to help. But Wolverine, really doesn't want to be part of a group, so he takes off. And then he discovers that the monster that's been chasing the kid is now after him. So, there's kind of that, because there is this, because Sarah has sent this creature to go capture mutants because she wants to imprison them all. So there's a lot going on, but I do like what Simone is doing with the book. I like how she's building the team. I really like how these X books are on their own, because there's there's the Wolverine book where him and Nightcrawler were in, but it's separate. It's just separate stories. So you don't need to read one or the other. If you want to just read Uncanny X-Men, you can read Uncanny X-Men. And I like that premise. I will say, Simone is definitely taking her time to lay out the story here. So it's not really, a big action book, which is kind of okay. I think if you're looking for, X-Men superhero book, this has kind of got it, but I think she's really building the characters, not only the characters, the characters that we know, but these new characters. And especially in the third issue, we learn, about kind of a little bit about these new kids. Each one, we kind of learn their story. So, David Marquez is doing a really fantastic job on the artwork. And he's just knocking it out of the park. It's a really great looking book. So I'm still enjoying it, so we'll kind of see where Simone and Marquez are going to, take it from here. Next up, we have Zatanna, Bring Down the House, number 4, written by Mariko Tamaki with artwork by Javier Rodriguez. So in, bit of a spoiler if you haven't been, first of all, if you haven't been reading the book, shame on you. This is a damn good book. But, so last issue, John Constantine showed up at the end of the issue. So we know that John and Zatanna have a past. So he comes back, he comes basically to kind of rescue her from the chaos of like the group that's after her. And so he takes her to Paris, and they have love. They love Paris, and Paris loves them. And so what it is John reveals that he's kind of been protecting her, because what it is her father used the spell to take her power. And so what it was is she has always had magic. She's just kind of been, say, weakened. It should have killed her, but it didn't when he took her power. So now we find out her dad has become a demon, and now she, has kind of come into her own magic. So now she can go and, find, basically either rescue her dad or destroy her dad. We don't know what's going to happen because that'll be in the next finale. But I really like what Tamaki has done with the story here. Bringing John Constantine is, it's always a win with John. But the artwork by Rodriguez is absolutely amazing. This is a gorgeous looking book. I cannot recommend this book enough. I love this book to death. It's a great story and great artwork. It's absolutely amazing. Once again, another must buy. Next up, we have Helen of Windhorn, number 5, written by Tom King, with artwork by Billiquis Evely. So Helen's back in the mansion after she nearly died from going to like the fantasy world. And so she's really pissed at grandfather. And this issue kind of, Lilith, her kind of nursemaid or whatever, her overseer, really kind of helps balance her with what she's going through. Of course, she's still recovering from her dad dying and everything, and kind of being thrown into this, world. And Helen, she starts drinking again, so she wants to go back to the fantasy world and kind of do that, but her grandfather doesn't want her. So there's kind of they're butting against each other. But like I said, what I really like about this issue is how Lilith is really, kind of comes into the story. She's always been there, but, she's kind of a grounding force to Helen. And it's just, I really like this book a lot. I think the next issue is the last one. I think it's a 6-issue miniseries. It'll be really interesting to see, how it all comes together, because there's, this story kind of takes place in the past. There's the present going on where they, her father wrote these fantasy novels that were actually, real stories. So it'll be really interesting to see how it all kind of susses out in the finale. But, King's story is great. And then Evely's artwork is absolutely fantastic. It is a gorgeous looking book. This is the same team who did the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. And, if you haven't read that, go read it because it's amazing. But they're really just firing on all cylinders. This is a great story with gorgeous artwork. Definitely continues to be a must buy. Next up, we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 2, written by Jason Aaron with artwork by Raphael Albuquerque. So what it is there's going to be 4 individual stories. This one centers around Michelangelo, and he's in Japan doing kung fu movies, and we still don't know why the brothers have split up. There's something that's going on, but it has to do with obviously the Foot Clan. And he's attacked there, but he's kind of having these nightmares about, his brothers and kind of like, so we haven't quite learned why they broke up, but we know that there's something big, and they're still trying to recover from the split and what has obviously happened to make that split. So each issue is each of the first 4 issues is centering on a turtle. Like I said, this one's Michelangelo, and each issue is going to be done by different artists. So this one's done by Raphael Albuquerque, which is really, really great. So we're kind of centering in on, just what Aaron's doing. He's centering on each character, and it's really a great idea. I really like this. I think, this is a really great, for new readers to kind of come in, it's kind of a ground floor what Aaron's doing here. And so after he gets done with the 4 issues, then we'll go into the main storyline of, why they split up and all that, and what the Foot Clan's involved in. So, it's all going to come together, but these are kind of individuals issues that do connect together. So I think it's off to a really solid start, and I'm liking what Aaron is doing, and Raphael Albuquerque just knocks it out of the park. He's a really fantastic artist, so definitely pick this up. Next up, we have Jonny Quest number 2, written by Joe Casey with artwork by Sebastian Perez. So what this is, so Jonny and the team they've been sent to the future. They've gotten stuck in the future, and so older Jonny Quest is trying to help them get back. But we discover that Dr. Zen, even though he's kind of dead, he's now like this computer hologram, so he's still kind of alive. So they go to get Haji, who's still alive, but Haji, doesn't want to get involved. So that's kind of what's going on. So there's Casey's leading up to kind of like old Jonny Quest in the present to young Jonny Quest in the past, and they're trying, once again, they're trying to get them back, or trying to get back to the past, but Dr. Zen obviously, just wants to kill him because he's the bad guy. So we'll kind of see where it's all going. I have to admit, I like what Casey's doing here because he's updated it, but he's kept the spirit of what made the original series so good. And Perez's artwork is really, really nice. It's a good looking book. I'm liking what, like I said, and I've said this before, I'm not necessarily the biggest Joe Casey fan, but I think he's doing a good job here, and I like what he's doing. I like the story, and the fact that he is honoring the original series, which I think is really one of the most important parts. So definitely still worth checking out. Next up, we have X Factor number 2, written by Mark Russell, with artwork by Bob Quinn. So what it is Polaris is kind of gotten involved with this underground mutant rebellion, and so Havoc goes to the meeting to try to kind of figure out what's going on. He discovers that there's somebody within the team that is a traitor, and we're also he's also kind of torn, like he's working for the government, but he's trying to like help mutants. So there's kind of a lot going on with that. So we'll kind of see where that all goes. I really like what Russell's doing here, where, he's really doing something different with X Factor compared to what it has been. Like I said, and I've said this before, he's doing for me what Peter David did back in the 90s with the X Factor, in taking it in, he's taken the characters that kind of nobody really wants to deal with and trying to do something different with the story. And I like that. They're very different stories, but I think the premise of what he's doing is very similar to what David did. And I like that. And I really like Bob Quinn's artwork. It's really nice. It's a good looking book, definitely well worth checking out. And then finally this week we have Space Ghost number 5, written by David Pepos with artwork by Jonathan Lau. So Jan, Jace, and Blip went to kind of save Space Ghost, but then they get captured by Zorak, and because he's in, the prison gang has captured him. And then so Zorak is using Space Ghost to power the Hadron Collider to bring Lokar, the supreme locust, to our world, so he can, they can take over the world. And Space Ghost has to basically kind of stop this. He starts bringing them through, and then Jan and Jace escape, and they basically have got to stop everything. It's a simple, bad guys doing bad stuff, bringing a demon to the world to destroy everything, and they have to save it. But I think what's interesting, and I don't want to spoil this, is it's kind of the aftermath of what happens and how it really affects the whole team. And I think that I was very impressed by that ending, because the main story was really good and everything, but once again, Pipos is really delving into the characters and really kind of giving, a 3-dimension story to basically a 2-dimensional cartoon. But he's also not poo-pooing what made Space Ghost awesome as an original, 60s cartoon. And then Jonathan Lau's artwork is really nice. It's a really good looking book. I'm really impressed with it. It's still well worth picking up. I'm really digging what they're doing. And sadly, this is the last Michael Cho cover. And but we'll see if we can get a good they've actually had some really good alternate covers. So, but it's very sad. I'm very sad that Michael Cho, who really captured the 60s Alex Toth look, really just was fantastic. So sad he's leaving, but still worth picking up the book. I'm really enjoying what Pipos and Lau are doing on the book. That's going to do it this week. As always, public service announcement. I get all my comics at Pulp Fiction Comics, Long Beach, California. Ryan Skinner, the owner, runs a great store. There's Annie, there's Wendy, there's Derek, runs their socials. Really great comic shop. If you're in the Long Beach area, definitely check them out. And we always end our show with be kind to each other, and be kind to yourself. I know the world's crazy right now. There's a lot of stuff going on, but being kind to others is really important. And also taking care of yourself is extremely important. Like I said, things are crazy, but you can definitely, take care of yourself. Just take some time to yourself. Read some comics. It helps you forget things and everything. So, being kind to others and being kind to yourself is really important right now. So that's going to do it this week. Thanks for watching. Sorry we're a little bit late. Hopefully next week we'll kind of get back on track. And I still think there's a few catch-up books. We'll try to catch them up. But thanks for watching. As always, comments are welcome. Thanks for all the great comments. They've been great. Please like and share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And that's going to do it this week. This is Steven from PopCultureMaven.com signing off. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.